differences between the two teams. We've got Wisconsin, who is playing later today, who has fully adopted a new style of offense, who has adopted and joined in on the transfer portal NIL life, and we have Shaka Smart, who hasn't used the portal in 3 years. Last player, I believe, was Tyler Kolek, who was a great success for them. But now they are going to be without a lot of players, and I think the biggest contributing factor to Marquette falling short against a lower-ranked New Mexico is the fact that they didn't reload in the necessary way to propel them above and make them a team that could make another Sweet 16 appearance. I think it's all connected, and I do think I never thought I'd be sitting here today saying it seems like Wisconsin has joined into the current era of college basketball, of college sports, of transfer portal and NIL better than the Marquette Golden Eagles have. And that's just, I think that is the biggest contributing factor to what puts us where we are right now today.
Okay, but do you think there's a chance that is a fluke? Right, because Wisconsin went out and they used the transfer portal, but they didn't have a choice. Most of the players, I don't remember the stat exactly, but it was something like 6 of the top 7 scorers for Wisconsin last year either graduated or left. And so they had nothing left. They had to go do that, and it worked really well. Do you think that there's a chance that Wisconsin, as it stands right now, is maybe at the peak of what they're doing, or at least seeing that this is the route, compared to Marquette, who is seemingly, for recent memory, always been more willing to play new basketball, not slow the ball down, not take the air out of the game, right? Like, they are willing to play a high-scoring game and go play against these teams that are fun to watch. UConn, Xavier in the tournament, or in their conference, that gears them up for a good tournament run. Whereas Wisconsin is historically done those things. They've slowed it down. They've made it boring. They don't seem like the kind of team that goes out and dominates through this new era. Do you think that moving forward, we're going to see more of that style of organizational running from Wisconsin?
Yes, I think Wisconsin is going to continue doing what they're doing. They're constantly recruiting their own players. They are constantly going out to get new. I mean, the transfer portal is a thing that every team is using to some degree, and it seems like Marquette is not. The transfer portal also goes both ways. Now, you can't demand somebody leave your team, but you can let them know we're probably going to go a different direction. If you're not using and you're not looking for players, they aren't going to come. So any sort of upgrade has to be something you go out and seek. You find a John Blackwell, you find a John Tonje, you find those players and you say, I think I can make these guys work. They could excel at even higher levels if they were to come to my program. You have at Marquette, obviously a lot of those guys deserve to be on the floor. You can argue maybe some of them it would have been better to move on from. But if you're not participating, you aren't going to find better options. You aren't going to improve your roster, improve your starting lineup, or even improve your bench. Like, there are now players moving pretty much every single year. And you don't mean to tell me there isn't a bench player that was available through the portal that Marquette could have gotten marginally better at? Could have been the reason to propel them above? Like, Xavier Amos was a huge contributor for the Badgers in their first win over Montana. Does Marquette have one of those guys?
No, I don't think they do, and I don't think that they had the chance to do it, right? Everyone has the same chance to do it. Marquette, people love Marquette basketball. They've got deep roots in the community, so you know that there is some version of NIL coming in, right? I guess I've been locked in and seeing what's been going on here in Madison, but there has to be something that you can do, right? Marquette is a fantastic university and a historically good basketball school.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree that they should have gone out, but the expectations for this team early were big, and there's this metric that I see everyone talking about on all social media. Every national championship in the Week 6 poll is top 12, and that puts Marquette in the conversation. So there were people picking them. They were excited about them. When push came to shove, I mean, in my personal bracket, I had Marquette beating New Mexico and then losing to Michigan State. So, they fell one short of what I think is going to happen. Is this a big disappointment? I think so, but I think it's pretty much par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Bruss and Greg Skelza made a living off of talking about the Marquette not making past the first weekend in what I believe the decade was the famous quote.
Oh man,
there is expectations, and when you bring in a guy like Shaka Smart achieving at the highest level, a Sweet 16 is great. But when Shaka Smart came to Marquette, nobody was going, yeah, it'd be nice. I think we could set our expectations we could set them just right at Sweet 16 and nothing more. I think there's a big crossroads here, and I might end up overreacting, and Shaka hits the portal hard, ends up with some star players, and Marquette is rated the top of the AP poll next season. Or they could stay the way they have been, the way they feel more comfortable. I don't think in the age we're in today of Shaka Smart saying that he does not negotiate with agents and doesn't want to work with them and none of the players on Marquette have them is a realistic path forward.
No.
This is now professional sports. You're represented by a college, but this is professional. Everyone has agents. Everyone is going seeking deals. They are working back channels to pursue future success for their players. Some of them know I'm probably not going to play past college level, so I'm going to seek the most money and most playing time and get the best out of my experience in quote-unquote college. That is the world we're in right now, and I don't think we've seen any reason to believe it's going to slow down.
Yeah, and if you look at it, right, there are players from in recent memory who've gone from Marquette to the NBA, but for the most part, it's just not that, right? Like, most of these guys are trying to make money because to play college athletics is a huge strain, and it means that you have to give up certain aspects of your education, right? You still get a world-class education from Marquette, which is an incredible school for a lot of things. Same for here at UW, but I have a friend who was an offensive lineman here who wanted to do a specific, I think he wanted to do journalism. Like, he wanted to be a journalist, but he couldn't do that. He had to switch to communications. Not a huge difference, but he had to give up that to play football. Yes. And he's not in the NFL. He made a practice squad for a couple months, and then he ended up getting out. I think he might have played indoor football for a year or something along those lines. But there are so many sacrifices that you have to make. So these guys deserve to be paid in some way, shape, or form. And if you're not going to do that, you're going to fall behind. And it also is not very great from a player perspective, a coaching perspective, or a culture's perspective, because these guys don't know. Like, if you drop
me,
they're
paid mercenaries.
Yes, if you drop me in the NC2A today and said, Alex, you're going to go be a starting point guard for Marquette, right? Like, obviously, I'm not going to do that. I'm not good at basketball. That's not my skill set. I'm going to keep it to the Frisbee field. But if I could make NIL, I wouldn't know the first place to start. And I'm somebody at 27 years old who's friends with Barry Alvarez, who spends a lot of time with former players at the collective here in Madison. Like, I have ins. I should know, but I don't know how those things all work. So I would want an agent. And if that means I couldn't play at Marquette, but maybe Xavier would want me, maybe Wisconsin would want me, maybe Northwestern would want me, of course I'm going to go to one of those places where I feel I'm not getting duped.
Yeah, I mean, we can bemoan the changing of the reality of college sports and it not being so much about the passion and the love for the game and love for the university all we want, but it is what it is, and we are where we are. We can't go back. The genie is out of the bottle. You have to adapt, and you have to accept the world we live in. These players, while achieving at the highest level and making a Final Four, would certainly be a good thing. Many, many, many of these guys are simply in search of the most amount of money. And obviously, NIL and how big your collective can raise and how much they can fund some of these players will factor in. But it also just like money at all. Not every one of these guys is making a ton of money. Not everyone is making an AJ Store money, which I do believe was exaggerated, but he's still got a bag. There's plenty of Hunter Dickinsons out there who simply thought, yeah, Kansas gives me a shot, but they're also going to pay me and they're going to keep my career alive. They're going to keep my hopes of college basketball going and going. The Badgers adopted in it feels like a direct about face basically in an off season. We've changed our offense. We are seeking players in the transfer portal. We're seeking guys who typically aren't the type of guys you would ever see. Like a transfer John Tonje's age just didn't happen in Wisconsin's history.
No.
Those type of guys don't come in and contribute that way. Wisconsin always built from within. Guys sat on the bench for 2 years before seeing any real playing time, and then they fully developed. Now it is a blend. The Badgers still have some guys that they're recruiting, going out and bringing in, and then they're actively recruiting to keep them on their team throughout the season. And then when they lose a guy like Chucky Hepburn, AJ Storr, they go out and they reload because you have to be competitive. You have to stay constantly recruiting. There is a lot going on. There is more than just Greg Gard isn't just looking at film and doing X's and O's. He's also constantly trying to improve his roster next season and 2 seasons from now. It's a constant process, and I think if you leave one of those things out of the equation, your team is going to fall behind and fall short of its ultimate goals.
All right, 844-770-3776. This is ESPN Wisconsin's Saturday Tip-Off. I'm Alex Gravatt alongside Josh Dimaggio. Riley Yao keeping us sounding good here in Madison. We've got Ashton Rotman in Milwaukee keeping us on the air. We want to hear from you, specifically our Milwaukee contingent today, right? How are you feeling, and what is the most upsetting part about this situation for you personally? Because as a Wisconsin fan who I root for Marquette whenever they're not playing Wisconsin, right? I'm bummed to see this happen. I'm not devastated. I am surprised because to me, historically, it feels like Wisconsin has always been behind Marquette, despite beating them and oftentimes being around as competitive. The greater picture is Marquette has changed with the times better. All of the sudden, Wisconsin seems like they may have taken advantage and changed with the times. But we'll talk more about Wisconsin coming up next, and we will talk specifically more about whether or not the best part of March Madness is over. Coming up next, this is Saturday Tip-Off on ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Saturday Tip-Off on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand.
Get your team together. Softball is back for 2025. Hey, it's Jesse Nelson. Registration for Madison School and Community Recreation's Adult Summer Softball Leagues is now open. Men's, women's, and all-gender slow pitch and women's fast pitch leagues are forming now for the summer season. MSCR Softball Leagues offer fun for every level of player and welcome all participants. Spend your summer evenings with us on the diamond. For more information and to register, go to mscrsportsleagues.org. That's mscrsportsleagues.org.
Is your computer so slow you can hardly use it? Does it have blue screens, malware, viruses, reboots, hardware crashes? Sound familiar? Computers will have problems, and when they do, you need the computer experts at Madison Computer Works. Every day we help home users and businesses keep their computers and networks running smoothly. For solutions to your computer problems, call the pros at 231-8000, and we'll turn this into this. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
With the next pick in the big draft, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Dane County selects you. As we count down to the draft in Green Bay, Big Brothers and Big Sisters is also counting on you to help meet the growing demand of mentorship in our community. Become a role model, a motivator, a supporter, a positive influence. Empower the young people in our community to create a brighter future for all. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Dane County presents The Big Draft in partnership with the NFL Inspire Change. Learn how to get involved at bbbsmadison.org.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
With the next pick in the big draft, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Dane County selects you. As we count down to the draft in Green Bay, Big Brothers and Big Sisters is also counting on you to help meet the growing demand of mentorship in our community. Become a role model, a motivator, a supporter, a positive influence. Empower the young people in our community to create a brighter future for all. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Dane County presents The Big Draft in partnership with the NFL Inspire Change. Learn how to get involved at bbbsmadison.org.
Professional volleyball is in full swing from here in Madison. Don't miss a second of the action. Cheer on Love Madison Volleyball as they make history with some of the best players in the world. Olympic medalists, NCAA All-Americans, and one of the most talented rookie classes ever. This is volleyball at its highest level. Experience the excitement yourself. Get your tickets today at lovb.com. Volleyball is the next major league.
What are you doing out there?
Come on!
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. Well, let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports, and it's a game, our game. So please, let us play.
School sports fans, remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons. This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Wisconsin.
Join the Madison Area Sports Commission live and in person for a Good Morning Sports event featuring Love Madison Volleyball. On March 31st, meet an all-star lineup of Love Madison athletes and hear about the first season of pro volleyball in Madison. Registration donations benefit the MASC Youth Grant to get kids into sports. Register online at visitmadison.com/GMS. This event is sponsored by American Family Insurance and Oak Bank, supported by ESPN Madison, and produced by the Madison Area Sports Commission.
I remember weekends where we got too cool for them, and I remember thinking maybe we could just pretend tonight, for just tonight.
A lot of Marquette hate on the ESPN Wisconsin Talk and Test line and the YouTube comment section. Little surprised to see that. I'm Alex Gravatt alongside Josh Dimaggio. This is Saturday tip-off across ESPN Wisconsin. Marquette falling to New Mexico 75-66, where Wisconsin wins 85-66 over the Montana Grizzlies. Wisconsin still playing. That means they've got a game today. They are 1.5-point favorites, taking on the BYU Cougars at 6:45, and they're playing the new style of basketball. They're playing NCAA manager mode, and they're having a ton of fun. We're having fun. Joshy, as you look at what happened against Montana, there was a moment when Montana got really close. I was going into a one-on-one at work, so I had to stop watching. I think as soon as they closed it to 4 points, and then Wisconsin peeled away, won in a landslide while I was in a meeting. What stood out to you about that game?
There was two players that stood out mainly. That was Stephen Crowell and John Blackwell. I thought Crowell, exactly in the situation, there was an inferior opponent with smaller players, and he played like he deserved to as a 7-foot player. I was impressed with how he performed. I was also impressed with John Blackwell, who, when John Tonje only attempted 5 shots from the field, he did do what he needed to do at the free throw line, going 9 for 9. But 19 points from Blackwell. He was facilitating. He was all around the court. I was impressed. I thought it was a taking care of business type deal. I never really, even when the score got to 4, I never really had the utmost concern of, we might have an upset on our hands here. It was clear to me that Greg Gard knew they just needed to keep doing what they were planning to do, and it was going to be successful. There was a point where the game was pretty close, and they basically had all reserves in plus John Blackwell, and they still managed to hold and even grow the lead a little bit. So, all in all, it was probably closer than you wanted for bits and pieces, but they ended covering the spread. They took care of business. They did what they should do, and they did it with, Xavier Amos. Only played 13 minutes, had 11 points, 2 blocks. They got contributions. Also, Carter Gilmore was impressive. Kamari McGee, despite not scoring a lot in terms of points, they were big contributors and sort of show how deep that team is and how effective they can be, even if not everyone is necessarily having their best game. Max Klesman didn't score any points. I do expect we're going to see a Max game here at some point, as long as this keeps going. I don't know if it's this game. I don't know if it's the next game. I think the depth showed here, and I was impressed with specifically Blackwell and Crowell in terms of what they provided the Badgers to get them over the hump.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Stephen Crowell, you need to have big games, especially in games like this, because he's 7 feet tall. I like the guy. I think that he's fun. I do think that there is a lot of room to improve specifically in that spot. And that's why I'm really excited about Nolan Winter for the rest of his career here in Wisconsin, assuming he chooses to stay. I know that, he's working with us here at ESPN Madison. He joins the Jump Around. We're huge fans of his. But Steven Crowell showing up in a game like this is important because it takes the pressure off everyone else. Tanjay had an excellent game despite not scoring a whole lot, right? He had 2 offensive, 2 defensive rebounds. He had an assist. He had a steal. He had 2 blocks. I mean, he just across the board had a pretty good game. And I think that's the thing that's special about him. Obviously, he can score just a ton of points. But even when he's not scoring, he's able to get to the free throw line, which is not always... That's not the case for everyone. And he's a lights-out free throw shooter. So, I mean, he works hard, and he works hard across the board. There's a lot of times where you get the Ben Brusts of the world who, at that time, coach said, the worst defender I've ever coached or whatever it was. Josh, you'd have more insight on that. But Tanjay's a well-rounded top-to-bottom player who is just living his best life here at Wisconsin.
Yeah, he is, and he's scored 30 points at various times throughout the season. He is that transfer that came in, and I don't think anybody expected the highs we have seen with John Tanjay to this point, but he is what you need to succeed in the modern world of college hoops. I think he is due for another big game. I don't know, much like the same one I'm predicting but the tournament is all about stars performing and propelling their team to victory. That's all this is. And I think the Badgers have multiple guys between Tanjay, Blackwell, and Crowell who can be those types of guys. Who you can question Steven Crowell all you want. I mean, his own coaches will tell you. Sometimes it seems like he's not aggressive enough, and we want to figure out, do we need to punch him in the face to get him going here? Because when he is aggressive, he seems like a very good player. He seems like star level, but it's been 4 years of this.
Yeah.
Is he going to show up in the same way in this game coming up today? We don't know. But the nice part is, if one guy isn't on, there is enough depth and enough scoring power for the Badgers to come away with a victory and to not need 30 points out of John Tanjay. I mean, it feels like John Tanjay had an incredibly forgettable game, but he still had 15 points. Because he still does his job, he still gets to the hoop, he still gets fouls, and he's extremely successful when he is put on the line. Those are the types of things that winning teams do. Even when your best guy isn't going the way he needs to be, you're going to find a way to win, and you're going to get contributions from players throughout the bench as well. And that's what's been the story for the Badgers all year. And I think that's the difference in teams in the past that have fallen short and been disappointing to us. The teams that we've seen and felt like we didn't get the most out of, it was because there was basically one way to win. And if the Badgers didn't have that game, they weren't going to win.
Yes, and I think
that is no longer the case.
That's been the case specifically for the last few years, right? Since COVID, the COVID season when the Badgers won the simulation or whatever, I actually really do like that. Did you
That was against BYU, by the way. We got a rematch coming up here.
Wait, hold on. So we were projected to win against BYU in the championship?
Yeah, so it was the FPI simulated championship because if you remember, we did not have a tournament that year. In the championship game, in this FPI simulation from ESPN, the Badgers defeated BYU to become national champions.
All right. 844-770-3776. That's your way into the show. Patrick in Waukesha chimes in. Patrick, before we get to it, are you proud of the Wisconsin Badgers win in the COVID simulation?
Come again? I'm not sure I'm following.
Patrick, so in 2020 when Wisconsin Badgers, when all season was canceled, right? We got to March Madness and it got canceled because of COVID. The Badgers won the simulation. Sure. Are you a Badger fan?
Oh, on the computer? All right. 100% have been since 1976.
I love to hear it, Patrick.
I guess I didn't
know. What do you got for us, Patrick?
I think the Badgers are going to win it all, baby. You said you wanted to hear from Wisconsin contingent. Before the last break, you said something along the line that you thought that Marquette had the the better of things in their. I'm not sure if you said the recent past. I'm not sure if you were under a rock during the Bo Ryan era, but Bo Ryan set records, buddy, for about 20 years. We called it the Alvarez epoch. The Alvarez epoch. I'm not sure where you've been, but look up how many Sweet 16s Gardo has been to. We're going to win it all, baby. Go Red!
Go Red! Go Badgers! Roll Badge!
I don't know if Patrick was actually listening the same way he indicated, but we were talking about like the past since Shaka Smart got here. Recent past.
I would say since I started working at ESPN in 2020.
Yeah, the Badgers haven't been to the Sweet 16 in 8 years, and in that time, Marquette has done it and has been ranked higher and has been what was considered nationally a better team. I and you, I think, are Badgers fans first and foremost, no question about it.
100%.
We are not here trying to discount what Greg Gard's done. I think Greg Gard has been a really good coach. I think he got put into a situation that was difficult following a Hall of Famer, and he's been really good. I think he can elevate how we think of him and the current version of the Wisconsin Badgers basketball program, with a Sweet 16 appearance. Bo Ryan was great, but Bo Ryan ain't the coach anymore. Times have changed. There is more to be had out there and sort of a narrative changer for Greg Gard. I think Greg Gard stands to accomplish a lot here with a victory and a Sweet 16 berth. I think a lot is on the line in terms of how we think of and how we remember him. Now, once he gets there, the next thing is going to be, is he going to be able to get to a Final Four? Is he going to Elite Eight? All that. But right now, the Badgers under Greg Gard are a really good program. They're short of being great. And today is the chance for everybody to elevate, for everybody to be thought differently. For this stuff and accomplishing only helps recruiting. It only helps this program continue to achieve at higher levels. It's a total different way of doing it. The Bo Ryan way of doing things is gone. You can't do it anymore. Unless you're Duke. Then you kind of can do that because you can get all the best players. But there is no developing. There is no 4-year senior that's not going to play 3 years and then contribute in a massive way and help you get to a Final Four. Those days are gone. And Greg Gard has taken the steps to put himself to be considered more than just a really good head coach.
Yes, 100%. And again, I think that Wisconsin and Marquette for the last 5-6 years have been relatively comparable. Both have had good moments, bad moments, and neither have made big splashes in the tournament. And that's, again, what I'm talking about. I think, obviously, during the Bo Ryan era, during the 2016, we're not that far removed from a national championship berth. However, we're pretty far removed, too, right? Like, it's not like it happened recently. In the grand
Ben Brust
scheme of
has
things.
been working longer with me than he ever was a Wisconsin Badger.
Oh man!
Like that's how long his career has been outside of that. And those were the glory days. And those are my best memories as a Wisconsin Badgers fan. I was on State Street celebrating that Final Four. I was there. I was in it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so, and that was the heyday, right? You have an athletic director like Barry Alvarez who shows up and just completely reinvents a school we had moments. I mean, obviously we won a national championship in whatever it was, 1957, 59. I'm not
the
entirely
Old Testament,
sure.
As Homer would say.
Exactly. This was twice my age ago, more than that. And so, yes, there were good times. He showed up, Barry Alvarez completely reinvents the program, gets everybody on the same page, and suddenly all of our teams are doing well. And obviously, football and basketball jump off the page to you in the late teens, in the mid-teens. But let's not forget that volleyball was one of the most dominant programs, and it started during that time. Hockey, continuously, women's hockey, dominant. Men's hockey, a little bit up and down, but whatever. Those were the moments that really stood out and made Wisconsin different. Now, the new regime is here in Wisconsin, and there has been some wins and there have been some losses across the board, not just in basketball and football, across the board. And there's a lot to be excited about, and there's a lot to believe in, right? Luke Fickell maybe has struggled a little bit early in his career. I still believe he can be the kind of guy who reinvents a franchise and makes Wisconsin incredibly relevant again. I don't think that he was put in a position to succeed immediately. Now we've got Greg Gard, who's turned around, and he's looking great. Things look good, and in this game against BYU tonight is going to be incredibly important. The Badgers are the 3 seed. They should be the favorite. They've had a better regular season. I need to see it now where the Badgers go out and prove that they're the better team. They need to prove that they're the better coach team, that they're the better recruited team, that they are all around. They have all of the assets you need to be the more dominant team. And the two teams play relatively similar. So this isn't going to be like it's a bad matchup. No. BYU and Wisconsin both are high octane. They are high flying. They do a lot of good things, specifically on the offensive side. So for Wisconsin to go out there and win this game, which they should, it would make a world of difference in how I feel about the program and getting to the next weekend. Riley Yauk here in the ESPN Madison Everlight Solar Studios. You've cracked your mic. What's happening?
I have. Just wanted to provide some context on the last time the Badgers won a national championship was in 1941.
41.
So we're talking pre-World War II. And
that's the height of World War II.
And they beat Washington State 39-34. So that's the era of basketball.
Was that before the backboard? Like they just had the hoop in the middle of the
it's just the peach basket they're still shooting into. It doesn't come down. You have to like fish it out with a hook or something afterwards.
I would rather not have that as the only championship than like refer back to it fondly or claim it as something that happened. That is basically not real times. Now there are definitely people alive who saw that national championship. Well, saw is one thing. They read about it in the paper because there wasn't really. I can't imagine that game was broadcast. But that is almost like it's almost more embarrassing to win then than to not have won at all.
Okay, if you saw the game, please call in. 844-770-3776.
Pick up your landline and your rotary phone and dial the ESPN Madison and tell us all about it.
The next segment is yours if that's the case. If that's not the case, if you haven't seen it, you can still chime in. I think that we might have reached the part where the best part of March Madness is now over. And I'll explain a little bit more why on the other side. This is Saturday Tip-Off across ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Saturday Tip-Off on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand.
Professional volleyball is in full swing from here in Madison. Don't miss a second of the action. Cheer on Love Madison Volleyball as they make history with some of the best players in the world. Olympic medalists, NCAA All-Americans, and one of the most talented rookie classes ever. This is volleyball at its highest level. Experience the excitement yourself. Get your tickets today at lovb.com. Volleyball is the next major league.
This is our crew.
Fly ball right field. Hit a ton. We're tied.
Milwaukee Brewers baseball is coming to ESPN Madison.
The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Every pitch, every dramatic moment, every
fly ball left field. Back. Still back. It is up and gone.
Madison's new home of the Milwaukee Brewers. 100.5 ESPN.
The madness starts at Metro Kia Madison this month. Drive away in a 2025 Kia Sportage with financing as low as 1.9% for 60 months. $17.48 cost per thousand borrowed. Or upgrade to the luxurious Kia K4 with rates as low as 2.9% for 48 months. $22.09 cost per thousand. With 156 new vehicles available, enjoy 2 years of no charge maintenance on new vehicles purchased and 90 days deferred payments with approved credit. Hurry, these offers end March 31st.
Hi, this is Brian Posick, and I can't wait for Mark Osiki's Casting for Kids Fishing Tournament coming up Saturday, May 17th on the Madison Chain of Lakes. It's a great time, great people, all for a great cause. There's lunch, dinner, raffles, and auctions, all to support the American Family Children's Hospital, UW Carbone Cancer Center. Plus a chance to win an Alumacraft fishing boat from Don's Marine. Join us on the water May 17th. Donate or partner with us. Learn more and register at castingforkids.org. That's casting4kids.org.
Look what we have here. It's the refreshing deliciousness of a Pepsi mini can. It's the perfect complement to any meal. The dash of indulgence your day was dreaming of. The sip that'll have you singing Pepsi.
Nope, not again, Steve. Let's take a cue from the Pepsi Mini Can and pack all that awesomeness you're feeling into a much smaller treat for everyone. Deal?
So, big awesomeness, smaller size. I think I've got just the thing.
Pepsi Mini Can. Mini Can, big taste.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to save money and save the planet. It's simple. Ditch your energy bill and make the switch over to Everlight Solar. While electricity prices keep rising, Everlight Solar will give you the chance to take ownership of your power while also reducing your carbon footprint. As a local company based out of Madison, they'll be there with you every step of the way as you make the switch to solar. To learn more about how you can save money and save the planet, go to everlightsolar.com.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
Saturday tip-off rolls on as Wisconsin is set to play and Marquette is not. And man, the YouTube comments right now are just tearing Marquette apart, right? You can't be both a Badger fan and Marquette fan. It's one or the other. Louisville fans hate Kentucky and Kentucky fans hate Louisville. There's no Kentucky/Louisville fans on Wisconsin. I get it, man. But again, I'm more on the Tony H side of things, or not Tony H, my apologies. It updated. Joe says untrue. Joseph, I should say. I don't know which one you prefer, Joe. Joseph. Untrue. There are tons of fans who cheer for both Badgers and Warriors. I'm not entirely sure what the Warriors have to do.
Their old mascot.
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm proud of you for using YouTube, my friend, if you're still calling them the Warriors and not the Golden Eagles. This is Saturday Tip-Off. I'm Alex Gravatt, joined by Josh Dimaggio. And I think that, listen, March Madness is only going to get worse from here. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to watch. It doesn't mean the games aren't going to be good. But I know that the days of McNeese are limited. But that's why I watch Josh Dimaggio. I love the deep cut. I love the underdog coming through and winning. And that goes directly against what our friend Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike, which you can hear from 6 until 9 every morning, 7 till 9 every morning. Like he believes that it should be week 1 only upsets. Everything after that needs to be chalk, which I think is a little ridiculous. Josh Dimaggio, what say you?
I think this first 2 days of the tournament has been a little underwhelming. We didn't see really any of the buzzer beaters aside from that first 4 game, which was a wild ending. This time, I think this is where you want to see a closely, hotly contested game with the underdog making a full court shot. I believe I saw here it's like the first year in quite a while that there hasn't been a 13 seed or higher that actually managed to win a victory. We're all familiar with the 12-5. I believe even Colorado State was favored over Memphis and did end up winning that game by 8 points. This time of the year and this portion of the bracket and the tournament is all about those unbelievable, I can't believe that happened upsets. I do think there's probably room for a couple more. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to see a team like Houston lose to Gonzaga. That wouldn't blow my mind, and that would be fun to watch. I do think, McNeese and Colorado State probably, you can throw Drake in there as well, have probably reached the end of the road. When it comes to Elite Eight and later, I pretty much want to see the good teams. I want to see the best programs. I want to watch Cooper Flag.
Yes.
I want to watch the Dukes. I think it's fine if a team like an NC State, DJ Burns, goes on a fun run. But when it comes to crunch time, I want the best programs out there, because what ends up happening is when those teams do make a deep run, they get too far and they end up playing a way too good team, and that game's over by halftime. That usually is the case here. I think we still have a little space for some intrigue. You could see, St. John's plays a 10 seed, Texas Tech plays Drake, that's an 11, McNeese and Purdue, Colorado, Maryland. Those are games that will be of intrigue, but for the most part, we've kind of gotten what we expected, and I want more out of my first 2 days. I think last year was also a disappointment, but that's sort of just the draw. I don't know if we can really try and point to, this is because of the transfer portal, NIL, things are going, we aren't seeing programs like a Liberty or some of the smaller schools that just have a fourth-year senior who's dominant and takes over a game and propels them over. Those guys now are ending up on a Wisconsin. Those guys are now ending up at an Arizona. If you were a really good player, you're going to get a bag of money to go somewhere that's a little more of a major program, a little more highly thought of, with more expectations. I do think that is somewhat a factor here to what we're experiencing of not seeing those shocking upsets. Like a Steph Curry isn't going to be on a Davidson anymore. Steph Curry's going to get $1 million and go play for Kansas. That's just the reality of what we're at. And I think it's too hard to draw the conclusion that is what is going to happen now, and we're going to see, I don't want to say boring because I was entertained, but we're going to see uneventful and unshocking first 2 days of the tournament moving forward.
I mean, you say that, but there is a level of surprise, right? Missouri went out and had a great regular season. Being a 6 seed is only because they were in the SEC and they played and competed with the best teams. And then you go and have Drake, who has this Bennett Stirtscat or whatever, however you say it. He's just some random guy, but he's not.
Set yourself up for failure trying to pronounce that name.
Do you know how
into it?
I
have no idea. No.
There's one vowel and a Z. At a certain point, man, you're just.
It looks like Sturts.
Sturts, yeah. But I'm dyslexic, so Stritz works too. Anyway. Bennett, who has been one of the best players in college basketball this year, right? He has been, and he has this name recognition. He's a junior. I think he had a little bit of a struggle at the beginning of his career. Now, if he leaves to find another school, I understand. But he's part of the reason that is a 30-win Drake Bulldogs team that went in and beat Missouri. And now they're going to play Texas Tech, who a lot of people are very high on, who had a good regular season, a little banged up, sure. But I think that it's very real that they could win. Now, I think, an 11 seed, what you want to have happen from here is exactly what Drake is set up to do, right? They're going to go play name brand after name brand after name brand if they continue to go on. Gonzaga, going to do the same thing, right? They have to play Houston. Then, but the thing is, Gonzaga is kind of a name brand. They struggled early, but because they're an 8 seed, I'm willing to root for them. Also, they're not one of those big powerhouse conference kind of teams. Right. And that makes that game, Houston-Gonzaga, incredibly interesting. Now, if Houston does what they did to SIUE, well, then the Zags maybe don't stand a chance. But the Zags came out and dominated Georgia. It was 20-3 at one point in the game. I mean, it was just disgusting. So
yeah, it was a bell-to-bell win for them. The thing is, Gonzaga is extremely talented. They probably underperformed the regular season to the amount of talent they have on their roster. But that is one game that I think everyone should circle if they are locked into the tournament the way the rest of us on this program are. But I still think we have chance for some shocking outcomes. Like, I'm thinking of the Kevin Harlan clip where he's with Stan Van Gundy, and there's like a turnover, a 3, and everyone's kind of just sitting in shock, like, what just happened? Like, the college basketball thing happened. Somebody made an ill-advised pass for no reason in a situation that they've been that's been drilled into their heads since they were in 5th grade. Don't do that. And the moment gets too big. And we haven't seen that yet, but I'm not going to say we're not going to see it. I just think with the way college basketball is going, there is going to be probably less of those. I'm not saying it's going to disappear, because there are going to be guys who stuck around for whatever reason. Their dad's the assistant coach, or their grandpa went there, and they view, it's important to them that they stay at Colorado State or Grand Canyon. Well, Grand Canyon wouldn't count because they're fairly new. But, they stay somewhere and they achieve at a high level because it means something to them. They're a local product. But in terms of the 16-1, which is somehow was something that never happened, and then we saw happen more than we ever expected in our lifetimes, the 15-2s, the 13-4, all that stuff, I think is kind of at risk of disappearing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and that would make March Madness way less interesting to me, right? Like if all of a sudden you don't, but the thing is, no matter what, these are college kids. We didn't have a 16 seed upset a 1 seed until I was in college. So, there is a level of belief that this isn't just going to change, but we do have 2 12 seeds. We've got an 11 seed. We've got a couple 10 seeds that made it through. And then, of course, you have the side of the bracket that Wisconsin's on that went chalk, except for Baylor beating Mississippi State, which, that might as well have been the favorite. If you're going to pick a team to watch, and it's not Wisconsin, if you're going to pick a team that you're interested in, that feels like it could make a fun run, I'm going to pick McNeese. Now, of course, I don't see a world where McNeese makes it past. I hope they beat Purdue. If there's one team in college basketball I like to root against, it is Purdue. I think there's a chance McNeese can hang with Purdue and win. They facilitate really well, whatever. But they're not going to beat Gonzaga or Houston. No matter what their next matchup is, that is just too much to overcome. And if they do, then their manager needs to be paid just an unbelievable amount of money. I mean, he's got his face on socks that all the cheerleaders are wearing. He's got the big boombox that he walks out and hypes everyone up. That energy guy is exactly what March Madness is about.
It's hilarious you're bringing this up right now, G, because on SportsCenter, on ESPN, they are doing a full story on Amir Khan right now.
I got to say, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I called him being the hero of the tournament, and so far, he is by far the guy everyone's talking about. I mean, he got a Topps NIL deal. He now has a trading card in his name. He's got the Buffalo Wild Wings, no free ads, but I'm giving him there. Like, cool. He's become the biggest, player of the tournament, and he's not even on the court.
And did you see, after the game, they win, and everyone's, jumping up and down, but they're all around him.
Love him.
He's the one in the middle rapping, he's having the time of his life.
Yes, but back to the games we are watching, the teams we're watching, I think there's still plenty of intrigue. As I mentioned, the Gonzaga matchup is going to be fascinating. I think Wisconsin BYU has a chance to be the game of the tournament.
Yes,
in terms of it's a coin flip. It is 2 good programs, 2 offensive programs. It's going to be back and forth. I think both teams are going to most likely be in the 80s. I think St. Mary's Alabama is another one that could provide some shock factor, a little upset there, but I do want to see teams like the Floridas and the Dukes. I want to see them go out and perform because that is good basketball at its best. But other than that, it feels like we're going to end up in a spot where we got 3 1 seeds and maybe a 2 or 3 in the other end, and it's going to be fairly chalk because it feels like those 4 teams, the top 4 ranked teams, have been so dominant.
Yes.
Have been amongst levels of in the past where you didn't feel the top 4 teams are as strong as they are. So I think there's a little upset chance there with Houston and Gonzaga and Alabama St. Mary's. But other than that, I think we're probably going to ride here as expected for the most part.
All right, we're going to play our game, the game we've invented, Second Take, coming up next. But I want to really quick, before we get there, quick thought. If one of the number 1 seeds go down, because this year all 4 of them are historically good, If one of them goes down, which one do you expect it to be? Which do you expect to make the first exit, Joshy?
Houston.
Just because they're playing the Zags?
Yes, I think they're playing the best team, the toughest competition. You can obviously look at UConn, back-to-back national champions. I think Florida has a really good chance to win everything. So UConn, if they were playing pretty much anyone else besides Duke, I would point at, but I think that Houston Gonzaga one is the one that needs to be circled and you need to be paying attention to.
I tend to agree. I think a close second, just because they've been rocky a lot this season to end in particular, is Auburn. I had Louisville going and beating Auburn. Obviously, Creighton beat Louisville, but that means Creighton's good too. This is Saturday Tip-Off across ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Saturday Tip-Off on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand.
Get in the game this March at Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison, where free throw fortunes can be very rewarding. On Saturday afternoon, March 29th, 18 winners will spin the wheel to secure 2 or 3 prize pucks. Each winner drops those pucks down the big board to determine their total prize of up to $3,000. Then at 4 o'clock, one grand prize winner will take home up to $30,000. It's a huge day of prizes, so don't miss your shot at Free Throw Fortunes. Big fun is always a slam dunk at
Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison.
My overall experience with Gruber Law Offices has been phenomenal.
The treatment was excellent.
They will be supportive of you. They will listen to you.
It was a great experience knowing that I had people to help me.
I know I could count on them to do what I needed to get done.
Experience with Gruber was great.
They gave me my life back.
It was amazing.
He gets results.
We know how to win. If you've been injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Gruber Law Offices had my best interests at heart.
Drum roll, please!
Carbliss is here with refreshing new flavors. Introducing their Tropical Bliss Variety Pack. Let the summertime flavors of blood orange, watermelon, raspberry, and grapefruit whisk you away from the winter blues. New flavors, same great Carbliss perks. Every handcrafted cocktail still has 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and just 100 calories. Find the Tropical Bliss Variety Pack in-store wherever Carbliss is sold and enjoy your winter passport to paradise. Grab a pack today and discover why less is more with Carbliss.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
Every event tells a story, from the first impression to the final moments. Have someone guide your guests through every chapter the way you want the story told. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With a strong presence, great voices, and an award-winning team, trust us to guide, direct, and inform your guests through all the different chapters of the day. For fun, memorable entertainment for any event, please visit us at celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
Hey, ready to sweeten your game? It's time for Quick Trip's Nature's Touch Ice Cream. Ooh, making moves like the starting lineup of a championship team. Whether you're gearing up for the big game, celebrating a win, or just looking for a sweet break in the action. Chocolate, vanilla, cookies and cream, mint chocolate chip, and more. Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad pick. So why wait? Flavor doesn't scoop itself. Get your hands on your winning Nature's Touch Ice Cream flavor today. Only at Quick Trip.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
With the next pick in the big draft, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Dane County selects you. As we count down to the draft in Green Bay, Big Brothers and Big Sisters is also counting on you to help meet the growing demand of mentorship in our community. Become a role model, a motivator, a supporter, a positive influence. Empower the young people in our community to create a brighter future for all. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Dane County presents The Big Draft in partnership with the NFL Inspire Change. Learn how to get involved at bbbsmadison.org.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Monday, we'll continue to react to the NCAA tournament. Plus, is it a guarantee that we'll see LeBron or Steph in the Western Conference Finals? It's on Sportsmanlike 6 a.m. Eastern right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Hit it.
It is time for Second Take here on Saturday Tip-Off. I'm Alex Gravatt alongside Josh Dimaggio. 844-770-3776 is the way into the show. And, man, the ESPN Madison YouTube comment, those guys, they're just going back and forth, and I love it. Really quick before we get to the game, though, Max Klesman, three-point shooting this year. He's been really hot, really cold, streaky. Do I think that he can do it all tournament? That's the question that Tony's asking. And my answer is no. I don't think that he's going to be the kind of guy who carries a team with elite three-point shooting. Joshy, I guess I don't know where you stand on this. I think that it's going to continue to be a John Tonje, John Blackwell plus the field. I think that there's going to be moments where, Klesman stands out and will continue to be really good. But I'd honestly I would more lean on Carter Gilmore as a scorer than Max Klesman in my opinion. But Josh, what do you think before we get to the second take?
I think Max Klesman is still coming back from his injury. I still think a little bit of that is lingering, and I would expect, I'm not going to say he's going to have a 20-point game, but if I were to make a bet and the Badgers play, let's say, at least 2 more games, we are going to have a few gigantic moments for Max Klesman. I don't know if it's scoring 2 big threes, if it's a late 3, whatever it is. I do think he's going to contribute in a big way because I do think he is very important to the team's success, more so than I think some people would readily admit to or recognize. I do think he will factor into a victory in a positive way.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a good role player, but he falls into the line of depth on the Badgers, in my opinion. All right, we are going to play now second take. Jesse Nelson has queued up some fantastic music that really, really sets the tone for this game as we continue to workshop and figure out exactly what this game is. Riley, do you think you might be able to put something together really quick?
I think I could play some music, yes.
That is your invitation to do so.
We're going with this.
Fantastic. All right. I don't know if anyone else, I have really nice headphones on. I could hear the click of the mouse, which is great. So, first take, it's a beloved ESPN Wisconsin staple. Or not Wisconsin, but ESPN staple. Second take is a growing part of the ESPN Wisconsin community. What we do is we go through the weeks of takes, and whether it's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy in the mornings that Josh Dimaggio regularly produces, Mr. Irrelevant, the digital-only show, the Jump Around with Jim Rutledge and Pablo Iglesias, any of the shows that we have here on ESPN Wisconsin radio or YouTube, we find the best moments, and we bring them to you, and we discuss who had the best take of the week. Now, I can't promise that these are the best takes, right? Sometimes you just got to throw your teammates under the bus, but we're going to start with the show that you produce, Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, which had this to say.
Sense, by the way.
Gabe, rank the division right now going into next year.
Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago.
You're crazy. Why you say Minnesota worked them
because Minnesota doesn't have a quarterback right now, Chewy.
We don't know
We don't know who the quarterback for Minnesota is, and that turns out that's a huge thing. Quarterback in this league is everything.
Yeah, but
and if I don't know who their quarterback is, and they had their rookie who we haven't seen play a single snap in the NFL had a second procedure on his knee.
What if Sam Darnold was back with the Vikings? How would you rank the division?
Then the Vikings would be ahead of the Packers.
Then why is it taking so long for us to win a Super Bowl when Minnesota was supposed to stink last year?
All right, Joshy. Now you were there for that, correct?
I was there, and I was in amazement. The end of that clip ends with Chewy throwing off his headphones and walking off, which I don't really know if it was a walk-off moment. I think he was trying to call a shot there a little bit. But to the content of the actual quote there, I think I side with Gabe on this. I think J.J. McCarthy not having played football in 2 years and being the guy that, they thumped their nose at Aaron Rodgers. I tend to agree with them making that decision, but J.J. McCarthy is their future and is their plan for the 2025 season. I think Kevin O'Connell's a great coach. I think they have a lot of talent on offense, and the defense is good enough to reach high heights. But until I see J.J. McCarthy play off of 2 knee procedures, I'm going to pick the Packers as the favorite. Do I think the Vikings will most likely be a competitive team? Yes. But do I think a rookie quarterback who hasn't played football in nearly 2 years is going to immediately come in and make them better than the Packers? I don't.
Okay, so I think go on. Sorry.
I think we're too used to rookie quarterbacks performing extremely well. You have the one case of Caleb Williams where everyone blamed everything else other than Caleb Williams. But then you also have Jane Daniels, who took his team to the playoffs. I think if we were to make a bet, most likely J.J. McCarthy is going to be somewhere in between there and closer to the Caleb Williams in terms of not elevating a team as a rookie, because that's a large ask for any player.
All right, so let's take a moment. What's something you haven't done in 2 years, Josh? I know that's a hard question, but I'm sitting here thinking about it. I don't think I've bowled in 2 years. I don't think I've gone bowling once. Jesse Nelson be damned. I bet if I went out and bowled, I could do all right. Not great, but all right. Yep. I would meet expectations for an athletic person, but it's not like an incredibly athletic endeavor. But I can go out and probably bowl like 110.
Yes,
right. I can bowl 110. I think. Bowling 110 in NFL standards is maybe at best what Jordan Love was able to do last season. So I think the ceiling is last year's Jordan Love for the Vikings. So I tend to agree that right now you got to slot them in under the Packers, but I'm not thrilled about it. All right, what we're going to do this week, changing it up a little bit from last week, I'm going to make you place that take 1, 2, or 3 now. We're blind rankings this. Do you think that will be the best take, the second best, or the third best take of the week, Josh?
We had some rough ones last week. I'm going to put this one right in the middle. I think there's going to be worse and there's going to be better. I'm putting this one at 2.
All right, well, we're going to bring it to another one that you were a part of last week, or over the past week, with Mr. Irrelevant. Here's Alex Strofe.
I think this is the path to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2017. And look, they've been that good of a team this year where that should be the expectation, right? At least the Sweet 16. That should be the minimum this year, given how good they've been, right? The run they went on in the Big Ten tournament, the consistency offensively and the evolution offensively that we saw throughout the season, with only a few exceptions. They have been that good. So the Sweet 16 should be the expectation. I think this draw gives them a very nice path.
All right, for those of you watching at home on YouTube, yes, I did just take a bite of a donut. I had it just the whole time, but I digress. Joshy, thoughts?
I'm going to rank this 1 because I'm going to accuse Alex G of stealing my take, which he heard me give last week on the Saturday tip-off.
Wait, Alex G or Alex Strofe?
Alex Strofe, my bad. Now I'm mixing up Alexes. Too many Alexes.
We got hired on the same day. It's ridiculous.
I'm putting this one in the first spot because I do agree. The loyal listeners to the Saturday tip-off here on ESPN Wisconsin heard me say this. They saw it pushed out on social media. So I'm accusing Alex Strofe of take thievery while also saying he had the best take of the week.
Plagiarism, not plagiary. But yes, I tend to agree, right? I don't know if it's necessarily the team that has to get it done. And what I mean by that isn't that it isn't important. Because I said earlier, it can change the narrative of Greg Gard. It can change the narrative of Wisconsin football or basketball. It can change the way that I feel about what's going to happen moving forward. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Anything below that Sweet 16 is going to be a disappointment to me. I see Riley Yaug warming up his shoulder in the Everlight Solar Studios. My dude, just really quick, thoughts?
I'll be honest, I wasn't listening to the take whatsoever. I'm locked in on producer stuff right now. Jesse Nelson just took over the computer I'm playing audio from. Oh. It's a mess back here right now.
He's in Iowa gambling, so I don't know
what's going on right now.
So do you have the keys back? Have you texted him?
I'm going to have to forcibly move the mouse and alter his motions.
See if you can play the last audio, the audio that Josh Dimaggio has deemed to be the worst take of the week from Jim, Matt, and Molly.
He might be right.
Which has to do with Aaron Rodgers, so I'm glad that you chose this. Can we play it? We got a nod.
The trope, and this is where Aaron is lying right now. Him and Minnesota, they got together. Minnesota's not really feeling it. Aaron Rodgers might not be feeling the conditions they were given. Just kind of friends, just chatting. And they realize, hey, you know what? Call me in 2 months. If you're still single and I'm still single, let's just get together and make this happen.
Aaron Rodgers and the Vikings in the friend zone. Joshy, are you happy with that being the last place take?
I am, because I am and have long held the belief that the Minnesota Vikings never even considered Aaron Rodgers as an option. I think they're too smart of an organization to get into the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes and all the drama that is involved with it. I think it was clever angling by his agent to drive up his costs in Pittsburgh and to drive up their want for him. So I don't think they even approached the friend zone. I don't even know if they were friends. They are acquaintances at best.
Somebody was somebody maybe liked an Instagram post. Is that what you're saying? That's about the extent of it?
At best. At very best. And also, I'm a big Matt Hamilton fan, but keep the analogies to old T.
All right. That was Second Take. Alex Strofe, back-to-back champions of Second Take here on Saturday Tip-Off. We've got more to talk about specifically around the Packers coming up next, and then we will revisit the Wisconsin Badgers as they get ready to take on BYU. Coming up, Saturday Tip-Off continues next.
This is Saturday Tip-Off on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand.
Summer is coming, and it's time to start thinking about your summer job. Jesse Nelson here. Madison School and Community Recreation is now hiring for many positions, including day camp and youth program leaders, support staff for individuals with disabilities, sports instructors and officials, and more. Full and part-time positions with daytime and evening hours are available. No matter your interest, schedule, or location, there's a position for everyone. At MSCR, you can make an immediate impact in the community and gain meaningful experience. Start your summer adventure today. Apply at mscr.org.
You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. Jim Rutledge here. What is a better buying experience? Well, that's the thing. You get to define it. It is the experience that is customized to you. What experience do you want at a car dealership? They can be your trusted friend or your trusted expert. So if you're in the market for a new or new-to-you Silverado, Colorado, Blazer, Trailblazer, remember, you're only minutes away from a better buying experience. And that's at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. GRB Academy offers training programs for players of all ages and skill levels. Learn from some of the best baseball coaches in the area and find the program that fits your training goals and your schedule. Spots are filling up fast, so visit grbacademy.com to sign up now. That's grbacademy.com. GRB Academy, baseball for the serious player.
Unity Point Health Meritor is proud to be ESPN Madison's Mental Health Month sponsor this March. Explore resources at unitypoint.org/Madison. With the right support, every child and teen can find a path to better mental health.
When you've been seriously injured, you'll need a team with knowledge and experience to get the results you deserve. Call Gruber Law Offices today. Proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
Welcome to the 2025 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio.
The NFL Draft is now underway.
Live from historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
With the first pick.
Thursday, April 24th on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
Hi, this is Dave Kane. You're listening to Madison's Home of the Bucks, a good Karma brand radio station, 100.5 ESPN WTLX, Monona, Madison.
The chaos is here. The buzzer beaters, the heartbreak. This is Saturday Tip-Off.
No buzzer beaters for a Wisconsin team. Some heartbreak for another. But we just played a game called Second Take where we heard a little bit about where the Packers rank. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Gabe Neitzel said the Green Bay Packers are the second best team in the NFC North. I'm Alex Gravatt alongside Josh Dimaggio. We are live across ESPN Wisconsin, 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, and 100.5 ESPN Madison. 844-770-3776 is your way into the show, or throw a comment in the YouTube channel. Now, do you think, Josh, that is a fair assessment of where the Green Bay Packers are in the NFC North?
I do. I think the Packers have, to this point, too many fans disappointed with not taking any real big swings in free agency or in the trade market. I think they're a good team. I think their floor is high. I don't think they risk being a bottom dweller in the NFC or in the NFC North. I do think the growth we wanted to see for a lot of fans, and we got our hopes up, was external. The growth Goody wanted to see is internal, and I think it starts with their quarterback, Jordan Love, and then I think it starts, then we move on next to our pass catchers and edge rushers. I do think there's a good case to be made that the defense and the young players on defense, sans LVN, really performed in a way that was encouraging and made you believe this Packers defense is going to get a lot better. Evan Williams, Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard all gave you optimism cases. But if we remember, just last year, I think we were in a similar spot with Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, where you saw a case for all of them to take the next step, for maybe even a superstar to develop. Now we're trying to make the same case. The wide receivers, I think, at this point, have been a disappointment. And that, I don't know if is quite fair for where they were drafted and the amount of targets and usage they do get, but I do think there is a case where Jaden Reed disappeared. Dontavian Wicks dropped a ton of balls. LVN was as good, was just a guy. Was not the 13th overall, not what you would expect. He did not take a second-year jump as you would have hoped. Third year, could it be the case? Yes, but I'm not going to wait on it. And I don't think Brian Gutekunst is either. I think they are going to reinvest in that edge rushing core in the draft, probably pretty early, first 2-3 rounds. I think the biggest growth we could see is from Jordan Love. And if Jordan Love takes for what I'd say is he's 12th to 14th best quarterback in the NFL, if he jumps into a top 7, 8, 9 guy, I think there is a lot of achievement to be had there. There's a lot of progress and a lot of cases where you go into that game against Philly and you don't think, well, I think the Packers need a few bounces to go their way to even have a chance in this game. I think if you get Jordan Love playing at a top-end level, it changes everything. It makes the coach look better. It makes all the players look better. It makes everyone on both sides of the ball look better.
So I tend to agree. Now, I think that as somebody who was a bit of a project myself, right? When I was drafted into ESPN Wisconsin, it was as a board op. I had to submit a clip of myself doing a podcast, and they're like, all right, you're going to have to start doing practice segments. You're going to have to start, producing shows maybe at some point. Then you can get involved in on-air conversations, and then slowly but surely you can become what you might be a host. Right, I was young when I got hired here. I was 22, 23. I think it was it was like the weekend of my 23rd birthday that happened. And then you look at my career in Frisbee, right? I was the guy who never played at the high-end college program. And I got taken on. I was more of a practice squad guy to start, and slowly but surely have earned my way to get more reps. But I am not claiming to be a second-round draft pick in the NFL. I'm not that version, right? I'm the UDFA, right? The undrafted free agent. And so do I have faith? And do I understand in the process of getting a good guy and developing them? Yes, I've seen that. It's been incredibly, impactful in my own life in the things that I've done. On the sales side too, which I have a sales job. These are the parts of my life that is you come in, you do the process, you work hard. And I think that that's true for a lot of people. And that's part of the reason why when we look at this wide receiver core and these great first round picks on the defensive side, you say, oh, yes, we have guys who have talent, who have potential. We just need to continue to work them. And for Brian Gutekunst, props to you for believing in your guys, right? You want to have trust in your locker room. I don't think that it's necessarily fair to expect them to become world beaters, right? The best guy on the Madison Radicals, the ultimate Frisbee team, was pretty much always the best guy on the Madison Radicals. See, you come in and you have somebody who is hot and looks dominant and looks great, fantastic. You're going to get that for a long time. So do I think that there's a chance that these guys step up? The Jaden Reed, the Christian Watson, yes, I think that they're going to continue to get better, but I don't think that they're going to become wide receiver 1A in the NFL, which, by the way, the Packers could really use. When I look at Rashawn Gary, who's, he's on contract too. He's not going to become the most dominant pass rusher in the NFL. He's had really good streaks. He had a league-leading pass rush percentage at one point where, it was like just him versus the tackle. He was winning more often than not. But I don't think it's fair to say that he's going to go out there and become Myles Garrett. Lucas Van Ness probably has a little bit more of a shot.
Gabe has spent a lot of time on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, and I think we all agree with him. 7 to 9. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, ESPN Milwaukee. Listen to it. Finally produced program.
Great producing.
The Packers are short on superstars. That is the biggest factor on why maybe at times it feels like they're not getting the most out of all the talent there. There's plenty of good players, and good players are nice to have. But to win Super Bowls and to achieve at the highest level, you need superstars. I mean, just look at Detroit. Look at all the guys running around on that field that you would go, that is the type of player that elevates your program as a whole, elevates the entire team. There are contributors who can take over a game at any given moment, and it doesn't need to be every game. Some games, the Aiden Hutchinson game. Another game's the Amon-Ra St. Brown game. Another game's the Jahmyr Gibbs game. Another game's the Kirby Joseph game. Like, you can go through and rattle off. The next game is going to be Sam Laporta. You're not going to get A-plus performances from your players every single week. You need somebody else to take over and contribute in a massive way. It felt like last year the Packers had one path to victory, and that was a great game from Josh Jacobs. If Josh Jacobs didn't have a great game, the Packers stood no chance. Do I think Tucker Kraft is probably going to be a bigger factor in the offense? Yes. Is it going to be the type of factor that changes the outlook of a game, where Tucker Kraft is open every time Jordan Love looks at him and has 110 yards, 8 catches, 2 touchdowns? I hope so. I don't know if we can bank on it, but I know I'm not banking on any of those wide receivers right now. I'm never going to give up on Dontavian Wicks. He might end up in the CFL before I end up giving up on him. But there's a case to be made for these guys taking a step forward. I would like, and I would prefer, the Packers to have added Davante Adams to help elevate everything around them, to give them a guy who's reliable on third down, who's going to get open more often than not, and is going to bring the ball down every time it gets thrown to him. I don't know if the Packers have that guy right now, and I don't know if they're going to find it in the draft. I would guarantee they draft a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds, on day 1 or day 2. Now, is that guy going to be an instant contributor the way Jaden Reed was, who then that player, whoever they draft, then steps up and becomes the wide receiver 1 and the guy everyone's looking to? Like, the Packers have found success drafting wide receivers in the second round. Is this that draft that they do it again? It feels like the Packers haven't had that guy since Davante Adams left. They traded Davante Adams, and there's been a massive hole in the wide receiver core.
All right. Yes, Josh, I do agree. And we're looking at 2 other guys who the Packers went out and drafted in the second round, who we are now seeing aren't developing quite the way that they should be, in Jaden Reed and Christian Watson. Both those second-round guys who are high ceiling, kind of low floor. But I want to talk a little bit more about superstars and whether the Packers are trending up or down in the NFC North coming up next. This is Saturday Tip-Off across ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Saturday Tip-Off on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand.
All day, every day, the Carbless Talk and Text line is open for you. 844-770-3776. The Carbless Talk and Text line. This is more.
Breaking news on ESPN Madison is presented by Metro Ford and Metro Kia of Madison. Find the Metro family of auto dealers online or see them in person on the east side of Madison today.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
They treated me like family.
They're actually people that you can depend on.
They made me feel seen. They really treated me like I was a part of their family, a part of their team.
They ask how you're doing, how you're feeling.
They're just so welcoming and so sweet and kind.
It's like family, caring about another member of the family.
If you've been injured, it costs you nothing to see if Gruber Law Offices can help.
We ask and you answer. Tune in to Jim, Matt, and Molly every weekday 4 to 6 and follow at Jim, Matt, Molly on X to vote in daily poll questions. Presented by Siding Unlimited, your local window installation pros.
Professional volleyball is in full swing from here in Madison. Don't miss a second of the action. Cheer on Love Madison Volleyball as they make history with some of the best players in the world. Olympic medalists, NCAA All-Americans, and one of the most talented rookie classes ever. This is volleyball at its highest level. Experience the excitement yourself. Get your tickets today at lovb.com. Volleyball is the next major league.
What are you doing out there?
Come on!
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. Well, let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports, and it's a game, our game. So please, let us play.
School sports fans, remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons. This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Wisconsin.
Join the Madison Area Sports Commission live and in person for a Good Morning Sports event featuring Love Madison Volleyball. On March 31st, meet an all-star lineup of Love Madison athletes and hear about the first season of pro volleyball in Madison. Registration donations benefit the MASC Youth Grant to get kids into sports. Register online at visitmadison.com/GMS. This event is sponsored by American Family Insurance and Oak Bank, supported by ESPN Madison, and produced by the Madison Area Sports Commission.
Hi, this is Brian Posick, and I can't wait for Mark Osiki's Casting for Kids Fishing Tournament coming up Saturday, May 17th on the Madison Chain of Lakes. It's a great time, great people, all for a great cause. There's lunch, dinner, raffles, and auctions, all to support the American Family Children's Hospital, UW Carbone Cancer Center. Plus a chance to win an Alumacraft fishing boat from Don's Marine. Join us on the water May 17th. Donate or partner with us. Learn more and register at castingforkids.org. That's casting4kids.org.
Look what we have here. It's the refreshing deliciousness of a Pepsi mini can. It's the perfect complement to any meal. The dash of indulgence your day was dreaming of. The sip that'll have you singing Pepsi.
Nope, not again, Steve. Let's take a cue from the Pepsi mini can and pack all that awesomeness you're feeling into a much smaller treat for everyone. Deal?
So, big awesomeness, smaller size. I think I've got just the thing.
Pepsi mini can. Mini can, big taste.
This is Madison's new home of Milwaukee Brewers baseball.
Churiel, a high fly ball. Back, track, bye, baseball!
100.5 ESPN, your new home of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back. I want you to hold out the palm of your hand. Why don't we leave it at that? Nothing to say, and everything gets in the way. Seems you cannot be.
Saturday tip-off rolls on, and the big question on my mind after listening to a lot of Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. And I like Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, don't get me wrong, but I'm based out of Madison. So I don't get to listen that often, but I've been going to the Milwaukee office a little more, and I got to listening on 94.5 to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy again this week, which was fun. Josh Dimaggio does a great job keeping that show on the ropes. Well, as on the ropes as it can get with Chewy.
On the air.
On the air, that's a good point. And it got me thinking, in the NFC North, are the Green Bay Packers trending up, or are they trending down? And it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of moving pieces in the NFC North. Now, that's the greater question, and I think Riley Yauk has been working diligently to get that on Twitter, so you can vote at ESPN Madison on Twitter. Is that correct, my man?
Yes, you can.
Fantastic. If you think that they're trending up or down in the NFC North, Josh Dimaggio, what say you?
I think it's trending up. I don't see any reason to say this team is trending down. It is full of young players, and I know people are sick of hearing the excuse of young players on this team, but it is a reality, and it is a case where players, the more they play, the more they get experience, the more they get time on the field, they do tend to improve. Now, you will lose some players. Some guys will get left behind. That is just the reality of professional sports. But adding young players to a young core is only going to help you continue to achieve. I don't see a case for any of the teams in the NFC North achieving and excelling and rocketing past the Green Bay Packers. I think right now you can put the Minnesota Vikings, despite having a better record last season, probably on a similar plane to the Green Bay Packers. I don't really see any. The Bears need to prove it. It's as simple as that for me. Until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. The history is too long and too defined for me to really give any hopes to them just out of nowhere jumping the Green Bay Packers. I think everyone is chasing the Lions, and the Lions have earned that right. That's a position we as Packers fans have gotten used to. It was the Packers, and we were looking down at everyone else, and periodically one of the teams would vault ahead of the Green Bay Packers for a season or two. But since basically 1992, it's been the Green Bay Packers and everyone else. When you tick it in aggregate, the Packers have been the highest achievers. I don't see any case for, do we really think the Packers are going to win less games than they did in 2024? I don't see a case other than massive injury spells to say that would be the case.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, just because last year the Packers' schedule was so easy. Or are you talking like the 2024-25 season? Yeah, that was last year.
Yes.
The Packers' schedule was easy, whereas this year, as we look at it, the Packers' schedule a little bit less easy. I mean, I don't think we have necessarily the lineup here, but as I pull it up, there's no way that the opponents are going to be necessarily less sad. So they have at home the Eagles, Commanders, who are, they're maybe the team that the Packers need to keep up with in the NFL. The Ravens, who we know what Lamar Jackson is capable. The Bengals have Joe Burrow, who, yes, he's probably not going to have anyone for an offensive line after paying 2 wide receivers, but those 2 wide receivers can absolutely destroy and dismantle a team. Carolina Panthers, who should be a pretty easy win. But then the Steelers on the road, that's not an easy game, especially if they go out and get Aaron Rodgers, which I think that they might. The Broncos have been an improving franchise. And then, by the way, you have the Vikings and the Lions, who have both been good, and the Bears, who Jim Rutledge loves to remind everyone that they went 1-1 against. But again, let's keep in mind the Packers pulled all their punches at the end of that Week 17 game. So I think that there are more losable games just in terms of the talent that the Packers will be playing.
I have a hard time agreeing with that, because going into the season, people thought the Saints was a losable game for the Packers. They thought the Rams was a losable game. They thought the Texans was a losable game, and they ended up winning those games. Now, the Rams didn't have Matthew Stafford. Things happened throughout the course of a season. The Packers lost their quarterback, too, for a period of the season. They just managed to win those games without their starting quarterback.
But they wouldn't win if they're playing against the Ravens and the Commanders in those games without Jordan Love.
I think that they could beat the Commanders. I think we've gotten a little over our skis with what we've seen from the Commanders. I know they made it. It was impressive, really impressive. Jane Daniels is not a hefty fella. Jane Daniels needs to protect himself and his health. So for him to miss that game possibly against the Packers, it's not that crazy of a consideration. I think it's way too early for me to look at the schedule and be like, I'm pretty worried about those guys. The Ravens, of course. The Eagles, of course. Those are the teams that are always in the top. But what version of the Bengals is Joe Burrow going to stay healthy for the first time in 4 years? I have no idea.
Not with his offensive line as it stands.
Is Kyler Murray going to be playing for the Cardinals, or is it going to be some no-name I've never heard of?
The Cardinals I'm not worried about. I've never been.
That's
fair.
fair. But what if the Cardinals come out and are a 6-0 team by the time they play the Packers? I don't know when this is all going to happen. Like the Steelers, they are probably playing in Ireland. Thank you to Ben Brust for that big news drop from him. But is Aaron Rodgers going to be the quarterback, or is it going to be Mason Rudolph? I'm a lot more worried about an Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers than I am a Mason Rudolph-led Steelers. That's just the matter of the fact of the matter here. So when I say they're going to continue progressing, I don't see a good case for any of those players who played their second year and were disappointed with the result of it, really taking a further step back. And I think Jordan Love's injury is something that we are underrating in terms of what it meant to not only the offense, but meant to him being able to complete passes, navigate the pocket, escape the pocket, and run. I think Jordan Love went through a lot of learning last year of, hey, you're not going to be 100%. This is the NFL. You're going to take hits. You're going to take dings. You're going to be in a spot where you are less than 100%. But can you play, and can you still do the things that you're good at when you are injured? I think he probably was let down with the way he came back and performed after that injury. I think there was lingering things, and I think a little bit of it got to his head, got into the way he performed. The offense changed. They went away from play action. All that stuff factored into what would have been, and I think Jordan would say himself, was a disappointing season from him.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is if Jordan Love doesn't get injured, the Packers still go on. They win the 2 games that they won, with backup quarterback play and all of that going on. I don't think Jordan Love goes out and has the absolute dud of a first half against the Vikings that he did. I think he was struggling to trust himself. And so do I think that lingering issue made a huge impact on the overarching season? No, not really. But I do think in that game in particular, the Packers could have won should Jordan Love have been healthy. Now, in terms of are they trending up or down in the NFC North, the ESPN Madison poll question is out in the field. 55% of people say it's going up, whereas, and it just switched, updated. 48% of people now say it's going up. 52% of people say that they are trending down. I think that we're all, and I think that Jim Rutledge is maybe the reason for this for our Madison contingent. He will have you believe that the Packers are the most despicable franchise. They're sad. They're not, this is Title Town. You have to expect more. Obviously it is. And I expect
people like me.
I love that drop. I expect there to be championships on the horizon for this team because it has to be. If not, the Packers are trending in the wrong direction. I think that they are trending up, not as fast as we want, and I don't think that they're doing the biggest things that they could. In terms of the greater NFC, I think it would be fair to say that maybe they're trending down just because I think the Commanders are getting better. I'm a little bit different opinion than you because I think that the Commanders have a guy who is truly proven that when push comes to shove, he can go out and do it. I think he had 5 comeback wins last year. That was nuts with a fourth quarter drive. Jordan Love needs to have a little bit more of that style motor, that style engine. The wide receivers need to step up, which Christian Watson isn't going to step up this year. That's a very likely, unfortunate reality because he tore his ACL, and it's not his fault necessarily that he's not going to make that huge step up, but that is a major injury at a pivotal time in his career. Now, that does mean there's a very good chance he stays in Wisconsin, in Green Bay for another year or 2, signs another contract for cheap, and we can get maybe a much more production down the road. But that means it is Jaden Reed, right? Like, Jaden Reed has to step up. Dontavion Wicks needs to step up despite having a 19% drop rate. But within the context of the NFC North, right, the Lions are still number 1. They have just so much dominance. The Vikings, on the other hand, don't have a quarterback. So they are the wild card. But I know if we're talking about ratings and percentages that each team got better or worse this offseason, I think that the Lions were far enough ahead that they just comfortably sit at number 1. The Vikings got notably worse, losing Sam Darnold and not MVP play, but really, really high caliber quarterback play.
As close to MVP play as you could expect from
a Vikings quarterback. Yeah. Forever. Like, they've never had a quarterback that's that good.
I don't want it to get lost in because those last 2 games for Sam Darnold were not impressive.
Kirk Cousins-esque.
Kind of ugly at times. but he was a top 5 quarterback through the majority of the season. That's how high level he was playing. The one big concern I have lingering about the Packers, I find myself in between viewing a Super Bowl under the Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, and Jordan Love era as an inevitability, and then worrying on the other hand, do we have the big 3 and all 3 of them are just good? I think you can get away with 2 out of those 3 being good, but you need 1 to be great.
All right, hey, I want to talk about that coming up next because we have to wrap up here in Madison because we've got Prep Mania coming up as Sheboygan Christian, or is it Sheboygan Lutheran, which is right from my hometown area, which is fantastic, is going to play Cochrane Fountain City Pirates coming up. That starts at 10:50, but we have to get to break right now so that we can wrap up the show coming up next. This is Saturday Tip-Off across ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Saturday Tip-Off on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand.
Look, we all know that as we age, our bodies change, but Carbon World Health can help. They have a process of testosterone replacement therapy that includes a diagnostic exam and blood tests to assess your hormone levels to make sure that they are optimal for you, not optimal for your age. Carbon World Health can help you increase your energy, focus, and overall health with their approach to hormone therapy. It's all about quality of life for you. Learn more at carbonworldhealth.com.
Get your team together. Softball is back for 2025. Hey, it's Jesse Nelson. Registration for Madison School and Community Recreation's Adult Summer Softball Leagues is now open. Men's, women's, and all-gender slow pitch and women's fast pitch leagues are forming now for the summer season. MSCR Softball Leagues offer fun for every level of player and welcome all participants. Spend your summer evenings with us on the diamond. For more information and to register, go to mscrsportsleagues.org. That's mscrsportsleagues.org.
Julie Granger is the president of Junior Achievement of Wisconsin. Julie, your organization has business technology from James Imaging Systems. Yet today, please tell us about Junior Achievement's unique mission.
Junior Achievement of Wisconsin has a mission of inspiring and preparing young people for success in a global economy. We serve students anywhere from kindergarten through 12th grade, and we just started serving young adults 18 to 25.
I understand financial literacy is also an important part of your mission.
Financial literacy is critical to the long-term success of every individual so that they can plan their futures and they can live their dreams.
To help turn those dreams into reality, how can everyone get involved?
We are looking for people who are willing to donate their time, treasure, and talent to the organization.
What's the first step?
The best way to reach us is through our website, wisconsin.ja.org.
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
There's no safer place to feel dumb than Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strofe.
We are adults on this program.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize that.
Don't listen to the end of Monday's program.
Don't do that. Don't listen to the end of most of our programs. If you don't listen to the show, you can go ahead and say we are the most mature show on ESPN Wisconsin.
Mr. Irrelevant, live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30 on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to save money and save the planet. It's simple. Ditch your energy bill and make the switch over to Everlight Solar. While electricity prices keep rising, Everlight Solar will give you the chance to take ownership of your power while also reducing your carbon footprint. As a local company based out of Madison, they'll be there with you every step of the way as you make the switch to solar. To learn more about how you can save money and save the planet, go to everlightsolar.com.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
I need love to ease my mind. I need to find someone to call my
Josh Dimaggio needs love to step up and be great. Well, or one of the big three between he, Matt LaFleur, and Brian Gutekunst. This is Saturday Tip-Off. Wrapping up in Madison. We'll be live on Milwaukee for another 20 minutes. Are the Packers trending up or down in the NFC North? As of right now, it is still 48% up, 52% down. It is a house divided, really. But Joshy, if we were talking about it before the break, if one of those three is going to step up and be great, because you say all three, Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, are all good right now, and I tend to agree with you. If one of them is going to step up and be great, which one do you think it's most likely going to be if the Packers are going to win a Super Bowl?
I think it's Jordan Love, simply because we have not seen Jordan Love perform like the way he did in the second half of his first season as starting quarterback. I think we've seen great moments from Matt LaFleur. I think if you point to the Malik Willis games with a guy who barely had any time with the team, any history with running an offense that way, there was no reason to believe the Packers could even put together a functional offense, and they did it. I think Matt LaFleur, at the end of this past season, left a little bit to be desired. I think he got a little, I don't want to say complacent. He got lost in the shuffle of a season of trying to figure out how do we get the best out of both Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, and he probably tipped the scales the wrong way. We've seen him pull the wrong strings before. I think he is never going to really be a detriment, but I also think he can get lost in the shuffle and not be a big enough benefit the same way a guy like Andy Reid would be. I think it's definitely Jordan Love. If Jordan Love succeeds, and we've seen it, we have a great history of it here in Wisconsin. We watched Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers elevate every single person around them. They took the Packers to the highest highs. I think if we want to pick one and we want to rely on one and hope for one, it's Jordan Love. Is Jordan Love going to be the next great quarterback in a long line of great quarterbacks for the Packers, or is he going to be good?
I tend to agree. I think that it's got to be Jordan Love. Brian Gutekunst in the front office are good, and I don't think that they're ever going to be a world-class, like, get you fired up kind of organization. Matt LaFleur also has the offensive mind to be that kind of guy, but we only have a few seconds here, so I want to get your official prediction for the Wisconsin Badgers game. So sorry for our Milwaukee contingent. We're spoiling it. Badgers, 1.5 points, favorites against BYU. What do you think?
Badgers win 87-82.
Big scoring day. I'm also, it's got to be this year, right? It's got to be now. Coming up next, I'll go Badgers 79-76 BYU. Coming up next in Madison, WIIAA State Basketball, our Prep Mania crew, Wally Lukaczynski and Corey Sparks have the call for Sheboygan Lutheran, Sam Decker's alma mater, as they take on Cochrane Fountain City. This has been Saturday Tip-Off across ESPN Wisconsin.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local